Hey everybody, welcome back to the weekly Weed Watch. And this week we're here in the third week of March, and what we're highlighting is another weed that you're probably seeing quite a bit of out there in the fields now that we're getting some nice warm weather. It's one of the first weeds that really starts to green up, and one of the first weeds that we start to notice out there. And let's go ahead and check out what we're looking at for our weekly weed. All right, guys, and so our weekly weed is wild garlic, and you can see it there amongst many winter annuals. And like I said, this is one of the first things to green up pretty much about as soon as that snow we had back in February got completed, melted off. As we got into late February, early March, you started to see this stuff spring up everywhere. So wild garlic is one of the first things to come up and that we start seeing a lot of in the spring. You can see here it is already here the third week of March. We're already well to 6 inches, if not 8 inches in height, and it'll continue to grow at that pace. This is a perennial weed, so these come up from bulblets, and so I have some here that I dug up, and you can see there the little bulblets there for that it comes up from. This weed really does not come up from seed. You do not see this produce flowers or seed that often. In the spring, as this gets mature, you'll see what looks kind of like a seed head, but those are actually aerial bulblets that you're seeing. And the key to control on these is to actually make those burn down applications before you see those aerial bulblets. If we're seeing those aerial bulblets, we've kind of already lost the game. So the key is to really start thinking about burn downs on this wild garlic now. So while those aerial bulblets are kind of cool to see, we like not to see those, and that is its main way of reproducing is through those aerial bulblets, and those spread fairly easily with our equipment. And if we're doing any type of tillage, we're spreading those bulblets, and any bulblets that are in the ground get cut up and spread as well, and that's a really good way to spread around these perennials like wild garlic. Now, if you're looking at controlling wild garlic, glyphosate plus 2,4-D can provide some control, but it's fairly inconsistent. And we found the best way or the most consistent control is by tank mixing that glyphosate and 2,4-D with thiophansulfuron. So using a thiophansulfuron based product and trying to get to a higher rate of thiophansulfuron gives us the most consistent control. Either thiophansulfuron by itself or thiophansulfuron plus tribinuron. There's also some activity from chlorimuron, but thiophansulfuron tends to be the one that we typically go to for the most consistent control. And one final thing here, wild garlic is not wild onion. Those are two different weeds. And so to tell the difference between the two is if you take the stem and you pluck it off, you can see that that stem is hollow. And if it's a hollow stem, you have wild garlic. If it's a solid stem, you have wild onion. For the most part in Kentucky, we're going to be dealing with wild garlic, and both of them do smell like onion or garlic. And as I'm messing with these plants, if you guys could smell through the camera or the computer, you'd smell there's a nice fragrance of garlic in the field now. So that is our weekly weed. Thanks for tuning in. Tune back next week for your next weekly weed.